Sideshow presents Get Super with Joshy G. Featuring today's special guest, Christopher Sean. It's time to get super.
Hey everyone, what's going on? And welcome to another fun-filled episode with myself, Joshy G. Get Super with Joshy G. And I have an actor with us by the name of Christopher Sean. Christopher, thank you so much for joining us. It is a pleasure to have you on the show. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fantastically, man. Really enjoying seeing the light at the end of the tunnel here with the pandemic. So very excited. Things are going really good here.
Oh, man. Well, I'm glad you're at home and you're staying safe. Obviously, we're socially distanced. But yes, you have the light at the end of the tunnel. We're almost there. It has been one heck of a year. But how has it been for you, though, being able to, having to deal with a lot of this stuff at home, whether it be fitness or mental health, that kind of stuff? Has it been challenging, or have you welcomed the experience?
It was a challenge. Absolutely. It was an unwelcome challenge at first, to be honest. With the pandemic happening, I literally just started working in Montreal on Gotham Knights, and then literally everything was closed down. The pandemic started happening. There was no travel between countries, so we were worried being stuck in Montreal. We were worried about getting stuck there. But in reference to fitness, I was going to the gym every 6 days a week, 5 to 6, typically 6, trying to get the 2 muscle groups in. Chest, tries, back, buys, legs, and then repeat, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, man, it was different because I'm so accustomed to going to the gym and living that lifestyle, seeing the same people there daily, getting my social interactions like that, and then being forced to stay inside and work out at home. So the transition from using weights to using my own body weight, it was difficult, to be honest. I threw my back out the first week trying to work out, like doing the P90X. Oh man, it was crazy.
Well, again, you gotta. It's almost like restarting to learn all of the fun, feelings that you did when you first started working out, right? Like, yeah. I remember going back to the gym and everything was super sore, and I'm like, oh man, this is just so awful. But it's always that good awful that it kind of feels. Maybe not throwing your back up, but it's always that good awful that kind of feels great. So, Christopher, let's take some of our viewers or our Sideshow community that may not know a little bit about you. Where did you grow up?
Well, my father was in the military.
So everywhere, pretty much, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah. We're Japan, Philippines, Mexico, Mississippi, Ohio, California, all over California, but basically Southern California is home for me.
Mm-hmm. And was there a particular military base that stood out as your favorite out of all of them?
Point Magoo was beautiful. They got the plankton in the water that lights up at certain times of the season. So that's beautiful to see. Like, so only a few places in the world have that illuminating plankton at night. El Centro is home of where the Blue Angels fly. Absolutely gorgeous out there as well. But the heart of Death Valley, so it's always hot. Their slogan is where the sun spends the winter. So it's pretty bad out there, but I mean, it's beautiful. It's home. Every place has its own defining qualities, and I love them all for those reasons.
So growing up on a military base, was it tough to make like friends and get settled because you're there for a certain number of months or years, and then you have to move on? Or were you able to, get acclimated real quickly as soon as you got onto the base?
Well, my dad, he was in the military. He met my mom in Yokosuka military base 40 years ago. It was pretty cool. I actually got called by the USO to fly to Japan, where I got to give speech and pass out awards to people that are brave and badass. Yeah. But I got to bring my lady, and we got to visit my grandparents and my aunts and my cousins. But I got to call my dad and be like, hey, check this out, man. Does this look familiar? Like, I'm at Yokosuka military base where you met mom. It was pretty awesome. But yeah, man, I've got I've got an affinity, a love for anyone in the military. Growing up that type of lifestyle, you move often. So it's just kind of in your DNA to just fit in as quickly as possible, adapt, make friends everywhere. We lived off base. Literally every place I remember living has always been off base, not on base. And when you're living off base, there are sanctioned areas where you're allowed to live. And typically you'll kind of run into the same people. They're like, oh, your dad's military too. And you guys ride the bus together, the public transport. So you quickly figure out who's who and who's affiliated with the military. So you're kind of like, you buddy up real fast. It's a strong community.
Yeah. Now, were there things that you loved growing up as much? Obviously, kid growing up, there are things that you start to fall in love with, whether it be pop culture wise or sports. What were some of the things that you, Christopher, were drawn to at a young age?
I loved playing video games. I still do. Love video games. Love X-Men.
Big gamer, the kid.
Oh yeah, man! I grew up like my dad got the Atari. So we got to play a little bit of the Atari, then Nintendo on the Super Nintendo, 64, PlayStation. And from there, just all PlayStation and all Nintendo products. I got a Switch and the PS5 like in the other room.
When you are playing with, these video games, are you playing them with your friends? Are you playing them with your dad? Are you using it somewhat as like a bonding experience to get closer to your dad? Because, obviously very, very busy being in the military.
Yeah. What's cool is my dad actually, he loves to play Elder Scrolls Online, ESO. So there's a multiplayer MMORPG aspect where we have headsets and we jump in squad and then we go fight players from other realms and RVR, and I get to hang out with my dad. It's like it is a bonding experience. It is a way of escapism amidst the pandemic as well. But I also have a group of friends I play video games that will play Warzone or Call of Duty Warzone, and that's a lot of fun. My kids, I'm stepdad to 3 awesome kids, and my 2 youngest love playing Call of Duty or Fortnite. I just jump on and like, how's school? How's everything going with you guys? You're not getting bullied or anything, and that's how we kind of interact.
Are there games growing up that you just loved, that you were big fans of, and even maybe pop in the old NES and try to still play them today?
Oh man, the list goes on. Chrono Trigger, Pokemon Snap, Mortal Kombat. I mean, like, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark.
Two questions real quick before you continue your list. One, who is your Mortal Kombat character, your go-to? And 2, when you played multiplayer, which I think would probably be the first big multiplayer game, GoldenEye, who is your go-to character there?
Okay, so GoldenEye, huge fan of GoldenEye. I would play. You remember there's like those little missions where if you beat the level in 2 minutes and 10 seconds and you get everything like that, I would beat all of those. And we unlocked Odd Job. And so because he was so short, he was so cheap, like we would just play Odd Job, slaps only, and run around in multiplayer.
Oh, slaps only. I was just about to bring that up. Yeah.
But Odd Job was definitely my go-to. And I really liked Johnny Cage because he could do the splits and attack you in whatever region you may.
I love that Johnny Cage, throughout the course of Mortal Kombat's history, he's still kind of like this cheesy action star, kind of like a, douchey guy, but he's still great. Like, I just played my brother over the weekend, Mortal Kombat on PS5, and I was like, oh, you know what? I want to play Johnny Cage. And I'm like, oh, he still got it. He still has it. So again, you're growing up on this military base. You love love video games. Why acting? You started to get into acting at what age?
So my dad was obviously military. He was Navy, so he'd be deployed weeks, sometimes months. We wouldn't see him. And when he was out deployed, he would record himself kind of in his daily happenings, but he would also record himself reading a book to me and my sisters, and I'm the youngest. And in the mail, we would get the camcorder, the VHS tape, and then we would watch whatever message he sent to us. And I'd see my dad on TV reading a little story, saying his little jokes. Sometimes he'd be like, and then this happened. Christopher, sit down. I'm like, how did you know I was standing? Like, what? And then my mom would get the camera, and then she'd be like, all right, let's just hang out. And so she would record us. And I was always like total extrovert at home, but total introvert in public. But seeing my dad on TV at a young age and my mom recording me, I was always very comfortable in front of the camera. I loved making people feel better and watching like home videos. So for me, I've always wanted to be an actor ever since I was a young kid. I just had to overcome the petrifying fear of public speaking.
Were there actors that you gravitated towards, that you really looked up to, at a young age?
Yeah. I mean, I was a huge Jean-Claude Van Damme fan. I was a huge Bruce Willis. Mel Gibson is still my all-time favorite actor. Ken Watanabe. Like, there are so many actors, and when you watch them, they just demand demand your eyes. Like they have such a presence about them. Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hardy. But still, I'm a huge, ever since I saw Tom Hardy, I don't remember what I saw him in first, but I remember saying, this guy's incredible. And then I watched him in Bronson. Have you seen that movie?
But yeah, Bronson, right?
Blew my mind. I mean, the guy did such incredible character work that I was just kind of like drawn. I couldn't stop watching this gentleman. He's so amazing.
Well, I'm glad that you also liked traditional, like really good actors as well as action stars. Because the list started going action star. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to hear who his favorite action star is. And then it went right into dramatic actors. So I love that there's a mix between the two. But acting in front of the camera for your dad, who wasn't in the area because of work, were you able to be creative in those stories that you would create, that you would perform in front of the camera for your dad? Or were you just like, I'm going to just be myself and just tell him how my day was?
Yeah, it was a lot of kind of us screwing around, just me and my sisters being as silly as we could be, knowing the camera was on. Like, the camera's on, so are we. But my buddy actually got a camera as well. And I remember we started like imitating Steve Irwin. We were running around the house like, crikey, mate, look at that. And it was dark, but they had this like lens where you could see the glowing pupils.
Oh, so like night vision.
Reflect. Yeah, so it was this night vision effect. And we were kids at the time, so we were pretending to be like raptors running around in the background. So we would do commentary and record ourselves. And it was like these fake autobiography attacks in Jurassic Park as we're Steve Irwin, like funny stories. But with my friends, I was always able to be creative, but with family, it was just more me being annoying, loud, and ADHD.
Do you still have a copy of these tapes? And if so, why are these tapes or these videos not on YouTube or on your social media? Because I feel like they would be viral like that. Yeah.
Dude, you know what? I think if my mom saves everything. So actually today's her birthday. Happy birthday. Love you, Mom. Tanjobi no omedetou.
Happy birthday.
I just got off the phone with literally, like, I was like, I gotta go. I gotta talk to Joshy G. Yeah, man, I think I will probably have those Betamax tapes at the house because that's how old they are.
Well, I'm just saying, just my suggestion. That's all, Christopher. If that's something that you wanted to do, I know you'll have one fan very, very excited to see those tapes or at least those scenes. So that couldn't have possibly, or maybe it was, but that couldn't have possibly been your big break. What was your big break into the world of acting? When was your real kind of taste of, man, Hollywood acting? Like, this is it.
Man, oh man, that's a great question. My first acting role, I actually did a casting workshop with Christy Dooley, and she saw me. I did like a week intensive with her. And from there, I booked a small one-line role where my line was, "My pleasure, miss." And I remember talking to the stage manager on the day, being like, "Do you need me to go in? Okay, whatever you need, just, whenever you're ready." And I'm like, "Do you want me to do it with an accent? I could do it with an accent." They're like, "No, just take it easy, buddy. Yeah. You already got the role."
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember walking around in the background, like, "Oh, I got to go in," which was a lot of fun. It was a very small co-star. But my first big opportunity was I booked, I was supposed to be a one and done on Hawaii Five-0. And at the time, I actually booked the lead of Tekken with Crystal Sky Productions. I was going to play Jin Kazama, but I booked both at the same time. So I was either going to film a non-union project in Thailand for 2 months and like lose my home, but I would be the lead, or I could go film in Hawaii for 2 weeks on a one and done guest star. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll do that. I did the Hawaii Five-0 instead, and it turned into a 13-episode arc where I became the main villain of seasons 5 and 6 on Hawaii Five-0. And while I was filming that, I booked a 2-year contract series regular on Days of Our Lives, which turned into a 4-year stay, which was amazing.
Wow. So just imagine, do you ever sit back and imagine like what your life would have been if you decided to take the other role and move to Thailand for a little bit? Because you wouldn't have had these wonderful opportunities, right?
Dude, yeah, I've always thought about it. I was like, if I did that, I mean, did you even know they made a live action Tekken?
I didn't. I had no idea.
That's just kind of where it's at. Like, if I would have done that, it was not the original, it was the sequel. So it's like, filming a sequel to a movie no one's ever heard of, or jumping on television's primetime hit shows. It's like kind of a no-brainer. But I grew up playing Tekken. So my dream was like, I was like, oh, dude, I want to be Jin so bad.
Now, what's it like playing a villain? Because again, you know, it was only supposed to be one. It turned out to be a longer episode arc.
I really, really, really loved my experience in Hawaii Five-0, getting to mesh with Alex O'Loughlin, Scott Kahn, but really getting to know Daniel Day Kim and Grace Park. Like, they're amazing. Daniel Day Kim, I still look to him as a mentor. I think he's amazing. Everything that he's doing for the Asian American community right now is so necessary. Hats off to him. But, you know, getting onto that show, being a bad guy, luckily, I don't know if this is lucky or not, but a lot of the people I grew up with were pretty dangerous. I mean, not crazy dangerous, but like, you know, they enjoyed getting in fights and being bad kids. So I found myself trying to fit into that you either fit in or you don't, you know, and that community was like, well, let's do body blows for fun. I had my slang, I had my friends, and I kind of grew up with that. And then much down the road, somebody that was very close to me started dating some pretty bad characters. And I started like getting toe to toe with a lot of these guys. So for me, being in that world, it was easy for me to portray this killer because it was like, okay, these are the people I hang around with. I know how they're going to act. I know these drug dealers and their mentality. So it's like, it's going to be easy for me to step up and just get that mentality where I don't know if you're going to hurt me, but I'm ready to fight at any moment. And that's kind of how I approached that character. It was cool though, because filming Hawaii Five-0, I was the main bad guy. And then I'd fly back and forth filming Days of Our Lives and Hawaii Five-0. And on Days of Our Lives, I played a gay baseball player. Any storyline you want, you'll find in a soap opera. It's there. They're all there. They've been going for 50 years. They've told every story.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. Like, you don't see some of your favorite TV shows on air for 50 years. You know why? Because they ran out of stories, or because nobody's watching. Days of Our Lives, they have literally run the gamut. You want a brother that is your adopted son with the eye patch or the evil. It all has happened. So,
you know, I see.
I mean, I watch professional wrestling, which is a version of a soap opera. There are so many crazy things that happen in professional wrestling that I'm like, oh, I know they got this from a soap opera. But yes, I mean, again, the soap opera, don't knock the soap opera. We've all been sick. We've all watched Price is Right in the middle of the day. And then after that, whenever Days of Our Lives comes on, you're stuck kind of watching it. So yeah, don't sleep on the soap opera. But yeah, that's so cool that you're able to travel and do these two shows at the same time, because it sounds like before there wasn't a lot of work coming your way, correct?
No. Being a half Japanese, half American, it was always like, we're looking for a white male or American male. And that meant someone who looked like you, or not someone who was accented Asian like myself. So I didn't really have many opportunities to play the white male, nor did I have any opportunities to play the Japanese American male, because they were looking for stereotypes. So it was always about either being Chinese, Korean to play Japanese, or being politically correct and not having any mixes at all, just Japanese. Yeah. So I've always found like my mix being an obstacle to overcome, very similar to Vin Diesel. You know, him being half black, half white. It's like there weren't many roles for him, and he had to create his own opportunity. And so that's kind of like the path I see having to pave.
Do you feel like it's important now more than ever for companies and shows and to have, you know, that same enthusiasm of hiring people of Asian descent?
I think it's important. It's a very pivotal moment now in history for all ethnicities to speak up, because right now we're being heard. And if you want any change, now's the time to fight for it. And activism is a lifelong practice. I don't want to get too activism oriented or politically driven here, but it is important as an Asian American to see role models, because growing up, I didn't really have any role models to look up to. You know, you got Brandon Lee, who's taken so quickly from us, and Bruce Lee. And it's like, what other Asian Americans did you see that you can say, oh, that's an Asian American? I mean, yeah, growing up, I think we're about the same age, 22 each. But I mean, for me, like, I didn't have those role models. And because I didn't have those role models, I always saw myself as a side character, a subsidiary person. The perfect depiction of a male is someone who looks like you, strong, intelligent, confident, white. And so I was like, I wish I could be that, but I could never be that. And because I could never be that, I never saw the value in myself. And so to change that psychological outlook, you have to change the way that media presents Asian American males. They're no longer to be stereotyped. My point of view is like, don't make them the stereotype. They're not always just computer geeks. They're not always just kung fu guys. Like, we have many layers, not just the stereotypical layers, you know?
Yeah.
There's so many, just like anyone else. Like, so anyway, being the way it is now with so much anti-Asian hate rhetoric across the United States, it's very important for Asian Americans to speak up, use their platforms for change, because right now is when we need it the most. All the support we can.
Yeah, well, exactly. And, you know, I obviously support that message, and I support you in that message as well. So it's good to hear. We move into what I think is a really cool role that was, you know, thrown your way, which is Star Wars Resistance. You know, Kazuto Ziono, right? Am I saying that right? I'm not good with the Star Wars dialect.
Kazuto Ziono, Kazuto Ziono.
So Kazuto Ziono, like, as a kid of the 80s growing up, if someone was to be like, hey, you're going to be in some form in the Star Wars universe, my head would explode. One, are you a Star Wars nerd or geek, or are you a lover of Star Wars? And two, did your actual head explode when you heard that you were going to be a part of the Star Wars universe?
Dude, yes, absolutely. I get so excited. Like, as you're asking the question, I'm lighting up. My dad used to do Yoda impersonations where he'd be in our doorway running left and right, in and out of frame, where he's beating up ninjas as he's pretending to be Yoda. Like, growing up was a big part.
Your dad, by the way, sounds like the coolest human on the planet. Like, he's playing video games, he's pretending to be Yoda, he's sending you videos, and he's calling you out in those videos. Like, I want to be
Dude, he's great. He's got sleeves, his whole back's tatted up. My mom actually tatted up an iguana holding onto his leg. Now, my mom gave him the tattoo as well. She's not an amazing artist, but she's a great artist. So there's just a really cool couple. But yeah, man, like, Star Wars was a big part of my childhood. And I mean, even I remember being a kid in the Philippines, and like, my favorite toy that I got was a little lightsaber. Yeah, and that's like one of my earliest memories. So when my agent called me, it was like, hey, Lucasfilms is calling for you. Who are you? And I'm like, wait, you're my agent. Like, I don't even know you. Who are you? And he's like, I'm in New York. I'm coming to LA. Let's meet. Let's catch up. I was like, all right, cool.
Oh, now you want to catch up. Now you want to meet.
yeah. Go on. No, but so I'm like, dude, like, let's meet. We meet up, and he's like, I don't know how big the role is. They just want to meet with you. I'm like, all right, cool. So I remember going to the meeting, and you know, it's obviously an audition, but like, I got 7 people in the room, and they're like, hi, I'm Athena, I'm Justin, I'm Brandon. They're like, we don't expect you to remember everyone's names. I'm like, no, I got it. I do the audition, I get the call back, I come back the next day, and I'm like, hey, what's up, Justin, Athena, Brandon, Molly, Troy? And they're like, holy moly, this guy remembered everyone's names. I'm like, you got to remember the people's names who are important. And they gave me the role, which is amazing. Never thought that I'd be the lead of a Star Wars franchise, which is huge, especially being Asian American. Like, there wasn't really much representation in the Star Wars universe, but now they're really opening those doors with The Mandalorian and all of the new projects they're coming up with. Oh, I'm so excited.
What was it like seeing, at the end of the day, your character on that screen for the first time?
It was amazing, man. I think it was like a year or 2 years of silence. I wasn't allowed to say anything. Mm-hmm. So finally being able to see our characters come to life and all the work that we had put into, it was a very familial moment. Like, I felt like I was in the right place at the right time. I felt like everyone who was a part of the project was family. It was just surreal. And my youngest was watching, and I put a voice on. I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? Kazuto Ziono here, hanging out with Joshy G. Like, that's my voice. Every character I do, I always try and do a little different. And when people saw me in Hawaii Five-0 compared to when they saw me in Days of Our Lives, I would get, wait, you're the same person? And that's what I was always going for. So with Star Wars, I decided I can't just be me. I have to be something completely different. A bumbling, naive, very heart-driven character. And they liked it, and we ran with it. And when I watch the show, I don't even hear me. I hear just Kaz, which is really cool. I get lost in the whole resistance life. It's fun, man.
That's awesome. That's great. Now being that you are part of the Star Wars universe, do you have fans that come up to you and are so excited to meet you and ask you to do the character voice. Like, what is your most fun or interesting fan experience that you've had so far?
Okay. One of the times we were doing Celebration in Chicago. One of the coolest moments was as we're pulling up. This is more of a selfish moment. As we're pulling up, I look out the window and there's Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen, just hanging out, and it's snowing outside. I'm like, babe, like that's Hayden. And we kind of walk out. I didn't want to like invade his privacy, but we had to go through the doors. So I'm just kind of sitting in the snow, like, and he's like, are you guys coming in? I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. So we walk in and he's like, come on, come talk with me. And we're going up the escalator and he's just like, so who are you? Like, and I'm like, oh, I'm just, I'm Christopher. I play Kaz in the new animated series. And he's like, I'm Hayden Christensen. I'm like, dude, I know who you are. You're Darth Vader. Like, you're the man. He was so cool. Definitely one of the coolest moments. And then, of course, we get up the escalator and we open to the green room where there's Paul Bettany and Forrest Whitaker. I took a picture with Forrest Whitaker. My hands were shaking. And I was like, dude, I'm so sorry, blurry. Can I do it again? He's like, yeah, man, it's cool. Yeah. Like, yeah. But yeah, for selfishly, I would say that's one of the coolest moments. But there was one moment where a mother, actually one of the fans had told the person next to me, she said, this kid's name is, let's just say Tommy. And Tommy's a big fan of the show. And so as he's walking up, I go, well, is that Tommy? How are you, Tommy? And he's like, how do you know my name? Like, Tommy, we know everything here at Star Wars. So he was like, great. This is crazy. Yeah. So it was to watch him have his mind blown and then sign things for him as Kaz. Like, he was so happy.
That's such a cool story. And by the way, great voice, by the way. That's such a great story. Besides Star Wars, are there other fandoms that you love? I know we mentioned a little bit video games, but are there other, whether it's the genres, are there sports teams? What are some other fun things that Christopher loves?
Well, my lady is a huge Arizona Cardinals fan. Here we go. I got a little Cardinals blanket.
Okay.
Hey, she's a huge fan. However, I'm a big fan of Cleveland Browns because that's where my dad's from. Thank you, Northwest, once again. Northwest. But I'm a big Cleveland Browns fan because I didn't really have a hometown. My dad was from Ohio, so I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to go for the Browns. And even when they were losing, I was like, I'm a Browns fan, so I'm a big fan of Lakers, the Cleveland Browns. I'm a big fan of video games, big fan of Marvel Cinematic Universe, huge fan of Wolverine and the Incredible Hulk. One of the main reasons I worked out was to be tough like Wolverine, so I wouldn't get bullied, and then be strong and big like the Incredible Hulk. So people you see that thing, you're just like, hi, you're amazing. Nice to meet you. Yes,
yeah, exactly.
People are friendly.
It's so funny hearing people, we've done this show this would be going on the third season, and hearing that same story kind of over and over again is, I went to the gym because I didn't want to get bullied. I went to the gym because I wanted to look like Wolverine. I went to the gym because I wanted to look different because I was small and puny. And I think that it's so funny that comic books and or pop culture, depending on whether it's action movies, professional wrestling, whatever the case may be, has that impact. Do you like that kids these days can do that stuff, or do you like that they now have a different avenue in the sense that like, I'm gonna just stay inside and play video games or Dungeons and Dragons? Or do you feel like there could be a good mix between the two?
I think there's a healthy mix. Everyone needs to have balance between personal, business, and spiritual. I think it's very important to kind of balance those three aspects of your life. Your social aspect of life is important because you need to be seen. You need to be told that you're important. You need to be told, you need to have your affirmations. The personal aspect, setting goals for whatever it is you want to accomplish for yourself, mostly like having that self-value is everything. Because in life, you don't want to live in life where you're being stepped on daily. Yeah. The spiritual aspect, learning to love who you are. Many of the times people forget to love themselves. They'll put the people they love in the chair across from them. They'll put strangers. They'll even put their worst enemies in the chairs and give them all the love they can. But they always forget to put themselves across that table and give themselves that kind of love. So I'm always advocating for self-love, self-value, and building that self-esteem so that, of course, you can genuinely give back with pure love and pure affinity to anyone who you're talking with. So again, personal, business, spiritual, those aspects of life must be balanced, and they must be balanced daily, because little things can knock you off, and then everything starts to fall apart. Like you're burning your chicken and your rice or whatever it may be. You're like, one thing after another. It's always a domino effect.
I think you hit it you hit the nail on the head, is that, hey, look, do a combination of both, but do whatever makes you happy. We had a guest on where we talked a little bit about that too. And I like hearing that, that message of be who you are, because, still be who you are on the inside. If you want to change your physical aspects because, you are unhealthy, or that you don't want to get bullied, or whatever the case may be. Yeah, totally. But don't change who you are on the inside. Don't become that bully. Don't become that jerk just because, that is happening to you. I like that message. We talked a little bit about working out at the beginning of the episode, but what are you doing now for fitness now that you're kind of stuck on the inside, at least for the not for the foreseeable future, but for the little limited time that we got? We do see the light at the end of the tunnel. What are you doing for fun or fitness? Are you going for a lot of walks? You're doing a lot of push-ups, a lot of sit-ups in the living room?
Tons of push-ups, tons of sit-ups. I'm doing the P90X. Going back to the tradition, back in the day when P90X was popping, I had a digital version. So I just pop it in and every morning, all right, P90X. Today's activity, we're doing shoulders and arms. And that's kind of like, if I'm not going to the gym 6 days a week, I need my therapy. I need my outlet. I need my challenge daily. So I'm doing that. I'll try and do a full P90X routine, and then jump onto the bike, an elliptical bike, and do an additional hour of cardio as well. But currently, the last 3 days, I was spent. I'd been working out since November for Netflix's You, and trying to get in a really good shape. I dropped 17 pounds, and I was pushing real hard. Kind of burned myself a little bit. And after we finished filming, I was like, okay, I just need a little time to just catch up mentally. So now today I went and hit it again hard. I've already posted on my Instagram, but I didn't do part 2. So I'm going to do that later tonight, getting back on the bike, getting that cardio in.
Okay, that's great, man. Yeah, I love it. Again, I am not the guy that's like, oh, P90X is this, or oh, this version is that. I'm a firm believer of the more that you do, in the sense that if you just go out and do something, as long as you're trying to become a stronger, faster, a healthier version of yourself, the better. And I love hearing people not only doing something that they love, but also trying new and fun things. And it sounds like that's a good, that you also do something very similar to that, right? You don't just stick to P90X and only P90X, you're doing other things as well. And I think that's that's kind of cool.
Well, I'm excited for the gyms to reopen, because we're going to get back out there. I can put on my WWE outfits, go to the gym, start throwing some real weight up, like the whole, like the Rock, Austin 316.
I love it, dude. Were you a WWE fan or growing up?
I was a WWF fan, WCW fan. Like I was a fan back in the day.
And who are your favorites, just out of curiosity?
Oh man, dude, besides
The Rock and Austin.
I loved watching Dude Love. Anytime he'd come out, Dude Love, Mankind, Dude Love, all of his different people that he became. Mick Foley. I loved The Undertaker. I loved Kane. Anytime the red fire would shoot up and Kane would come out, and that was always exciting. Shawn Michaels, Bret the Hitman Hart. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah, speaking of Kane, again, yeah, great story, great soap opera storyline, folks. The brother of The Undertaker, he was burnt up in a fire at the funeral home by his father, Paul. I won't spoil it for you folks.
Yeah.
Again, soap opera, but just in a sports entertainment form. Now, I know you can't really talk about this, and I'm not going to push you too much, but I think the latest thing going on is that you're in a new video game. Speaking of video games, Gotham Knights. You don't have to get into it, but how pumped are you as the one and only Nightwing, Dick Grayson? I mean, you just said that you wanted to be a superhero, that you emulated, all your heroes, whether it be martial artists, comic book characters, action stars, and now you get to be a part of a DC video game. You, in my opinion, have made it, my man. Like the things that you were hoping to get out of acting and all of your work, that's such a cool role. And again, you have the role. So how does that feel, or how does that make you feel?
I mean, growing up, my entire dream was always, I want to be a superhero. I want to be a superhero. The fact that Anne LeMay, Wilson Mui, the team at Warner Brothers, Warner Media Interactive, the fact that they hired Asian American to portray Nightwing it blew my mind. I didn't think that they would ever step into diversity. So the fact that I get to portray Nightwing is a dream come true. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Batman. So this was everything. I'm only allowed to say, in reference to Gotham Knights, that I am playing Dick Grayson, Nightwing, in reference to the game. But as a fan, it was really cool because as we were auditioning for the role, I told them I'm going to post something on my Instagram, and the team they were very, very cool. They were so like giving, and they were telling me, I have this crazy story of how I actually booked Nightwing, but I mean, that was just like against all odds. I shouldn't have gotten the role, but luckily I did. But after I did that second callback, I went and I contacted Michael Lasky, and he is his mentor and sensei is Ron Balicki, who trained directly with Danny Inosanto and Bruce Lee, their whole team. And Ron Balicki's wife is Diana Lee Inosanto. And so Diana Lee Inosanto and Ron Balicki and Michael Lasky. So I contact Michael Lasky. He comes out. We get the Kali sticks. We start training. And he reaches out to Ron Balicki and he's like, hey, would you mind helping us out? He's like, dude, for sure. So I get to shoot with legends like Ron Balicki and Michael Lasky to film this fight scene where I'm using a screamer sticks and I look like a superhero. And then from that, I'm pretty positive it was one of the main reasons I booked Nightwing.
I wouldn't say that you look like. I like to think that you are, Christopher. I think that that's so cool. Growing up on a military base and playing video games, playing them with your father, moving into the world of acting, playing roles that, run the gamut from, a gay baseball player to an evil, villain, all the way to a Star Wars, lead character. And now you're playing one of, if not top 10, at least popular characters in the, DC universe, which is Dick Grayson, Robin, Nightwing. And that is just such a cool story. And again, you are so young, the sky is the limit, my friend. So that's really, really awesome. I hope that you're pumped about that. I'm pumped about it. And I just met you. So I can't imagine how you feel.
Yeah, man. I'm really excited. I got now 3 secret projects. I mean, everyone knows about Netflix U, everyone knows about Gotham Knights, but I got 3 more hidden ones that I'm really excited to announce that I'm a part of, which is really exciting. But yes, I mean, how cool is it to go from Star Wars to DC? It's amazing. And like I said, Netflix U, like because during the pandemic, it was all voiceover work. So I was like worried that I wasn't going to be able to get back on camera. But thank goodness Netflix U, they saw an audition and they were like, okay, let's bring you on. And so I was lucky enough to film a handful of episodes in the next season 3.
Well, I will say this. I saw the trailer of Gotham Knights when they released it, and I was blown away, and I'm super pumped. I'm a huge Batman fan. I don't know if you can tell all the books that I have back there. Huge Batman fan. And when they dropped that trailer, I was immediately like, if I could have pre-ordered it that day, I would have. So I cannot wait to play as Dick Grayson, aka Nightwing. But before we go, I asked this question to everybody. All right, so you are no exception. You get to pick, Christopher John, you get to pick your pop culture WrestleMania main event. Being the big wrestling fanatic that I am, I asked my guests to book their pop culture WrestleMania main event. Now, it could be anything, right? It could be Tim Drake versus Dick Grayson versus Damian in a Robin triple threat match. It could be Darth Vader versus Boba Fett in a steel cage match. It could be the Hulk versus Wolverine, and the winner gets to train Christopher match. It could literally be any type of match. What is your pop culture WrestleMania main event and why?
Oh man, that's such a good question. That's such a tough question to answer also. But I grew up collecting the X-Men cards, and you got like Hulk fighting the Thing and Thing fighting Wolverine and Wolverine fighting Sabretooth. So for me, it would be like it would be a Royal Rumble.
Okay.
And whoever goes over top rope, and we're looking at the MCUs, we're looking at Hulk, Wolverine, Captain America, Doctor Strange, all of them going into the ring, fighting Star Wars characters, fighting DC characters, and we're just gonna make a Royal Rumble all against all. Throw them all into the middle of the ring with Kazuda Ziono and seeing how well he fares.
I think he'd be very clever. I think he would probably maybe roll under the ring, wait under the ring until a few guys are thrown out, and then roll back into the ring.
That or tuck into the pocket of the Hulk and just wait.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm going to really put you on the spot. Who wins? Do you have a winner, or is that just too tough to pick?
Yeah. All right. Well, in reference to brute strength, Hulk wins. But when it comes to intelligence, I'm going to say I'm going to take it to Amadeus Cho and make Amadeus Cho win. The Asian Hulk.
There you go. I like it. Hey, man, that's great. What a great interview. This was a lot of fun, Christopher. I really appreciate you taking the time, man. I learned so much, and I can't wait for Gotham Knights, but to go back and now watch Resistance and yeah, man, this was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you taking the time, man. This was cool.
Yeah, you asked some brilliant questions. I was a little nervous, but man, you made it seem so seamless. So thank you very much for having me, Joshy G.
Well, you're welcome. And don't worry, I'm not going to make you work out, but we will have a Christopher Sean inspired workout here in just a moment. So stick around. Thanks again, Christopher. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
What's up, Sideshow community? It's the one and only Joshy G, and I'm here with Jen Houston, and today we have a fun workout for you. It's called a couplet. Why? Because there's only 2 movements today. We got squats and we got sit-ups. Oh baby, it is going to get hard, it is going to get grueling, it's going to get nasty, but most importantly, it's going to be fun. It's a descending ladder starting at 20 reps and working your way all the way down to 2. Jen, I hope you're ready. I know I'm ready. We're going to get this bad boy done here in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Alrighty, so we're starting things off with air squats. Now the goal of this bad boy is to keeping your chest nice and tall. You're gonna get that hip crease below the knee. You're gonna squat all the way down and you're gonna come all the way up. Now the goal of this is to get to the number 20. Now the first round is 20 squats. Then the second round is gonna be 18 squats. Then the third round is gonna be 16 squats. Then 14 squats, and you get it, all right? But the first movement is squats, and Jen is performing them perfectly. How low can you go? All right, the second movement in this couplet is the sit-up. You're gonna lay all the way back. Your feet are gonna be sole to sole. You're gonna touch the floor behind you, and you're gonna shoot up and touch your toes. Now, again, the first round is 20 air squats, and then 20 sit-ups. And then you're gonna go 18, 18, 16, 16, 14, 14, 12, 12, 10, 10, you get it. All right, the goal is to get from 20 all the way down to 2. Remember, this bad boy is for time. And there you have it, Jen Houston, real life superhero, getting that workout done, excuse me. 20 down to 2, alternating movements, air squats and sit-ups. You're gonna have abs of steel, you're gonna have buns of steel, but most importantly, you're gonna be fit, you're gonna be healthy, and happy. Thank you so much. We will see you guys next week for another wonderful episode of Get Super with Joshy G, and don't forget to let your geek side show.
Did you enjoy that video? Be sure to subscribe by hitting the S icon on your screen and click the bell icon to be notified whenever a new video is posted. If you'd like more info on the items featured in this video, click the link provided under product info. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to let your geek side show.